Good morning and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. How you guys doing? I hope you're well. We're okay, we're all good. Very brief weather update today. I know you're dying to know what the weather's like in South London. Well, I can tell you it's warm and grey. Actually dry, so no problems there. Anyway, enough of all that. Right, let's have a look at a perfume. Today we're going to talk about an extremely special perfume to me, one that I adore. And I've just had a quick trawl through YouTube because I think this may be an exclusive. I don't think anybody else has reviewed this. So hold on to your hats. Hopefully it will be an all right ride. Okay, I've been looking to try and do this review for a while now, since I got the perfume. I've had it quite a while now. But every time I've kind of tried to formulate how the review is going to go, it always comes across as being a bit like a chemistry lesson. So I'm trying to give you an understanding and an overview of a few things, but also make sure that we're actually reviewing the perfume, which is kind of why we're here for. There's 1,000, channels that do chemistry and perfume chemistry that are going to do it a lot better than me. So there has to be a little bit of a whistle-stop tour of the background of this perfume before we actually get into the review, just to set the scene kind of thing. And what we're doing today is we're talking about the wonderful Montabaco Verano from Ormonde Jayne. Now, this is a flanker to an original. And the original is obviously very, very popular. So we'll just talk a little bit about the house, and then we'll go through some notes, and then we'll talk about the important stuff of how it smells and why it smells the way it does. So Montabaco Verano is a new release. It came out, I think, in 2019 as a Harrods exclusive, and then kind of its actual official release is 2020. But I think it still may be a Harrods exclusive because I think it's a bit of a pig to get hold of outside of Harrods. I had a look on the Ormonde Jayne website and they don't actually list it, so it may be one that you can only get in store at Ormonde Jayne, or you have to go through Harrods to get it. I'm not 100% sure, but if I find out more, I will. I'll go back to you. So if we look at Ormonde Jayne, they've been around since 2000, and it's the brainchild of Linda Pilkington, who started off as a candle maker. I think she made scented candles and things like that, and then the natural progression, as we've seen with other companies. I think Byredo went that way as well, and obviously Diptyque are kind of in that world too. They went from candles to fragrances, and then it kind of took off. They're very much a niche house. And certainly in the UK and amongst UK Facebook groups, there's an awful lot of traction. There's a lot of people that really, really love this brand. I only own two. I own Montabaco Verano and I own Amber Royal, and they're both fantastic fragrances. I will get a full review of the Amber one up soon. It does appear, if you want a bit more information about it, I did do an Amber for all seasons review, which is below, where I looked at 4 ambers, and Amber Royal was one of them. So if you need a little bit more before I can get a full review up, have a look at that. So basically, Verano is a flanker to the original Montabaco, and that came out some time ago. I think it came out in 2012 when there was a release of the Four Corners collection, which was Montabaco, Nawab of Oud, QI, and Sarina. So they all have representations of various parts of the world. Now, Montabaco was to represent the smells and the vibe of Latin America. And this is where this whole thing starts to get interesting, because Linda Pilkington makes fragrances, and at the time, I don't think they're still working together, I'm not entirely sure, she was using a Geyser Schön as a nose for quite a few of her perfumes. Now, those of you who know who Geyser Schön is, you won't be, and you'll know all about him, but he's a very, very important person in the world of perfumery. He's worked with lots of brands. He's worked with Clive Christian, he's worked with Diesel, he's worked with Boudicca, but I think most importantly, he's worked with his own creations, which are the Eccentric Molecules line. Now, there's lots of them now, but obviously Eccentric Molecules #1 was the one that kind of everybody knows, and it was famous for supposedly only using one ingredient, one material, and that was ISOE Super. Now, sometimes I think Geyser Schön is credited with the invention of ISOE Super, and that's not the case. That came about in the late 60s, or came about in the 60s, and then it was developed in the 70s, and then it became very much a part of perfumery. I think it's actually Halston in the 70s were the first person to use it properly in a perfume, and then it was kind of more widely used until Fahrenheit came along, and Fahrenheit used ISOE Super in sort of like 25% of the perfume. So it kind of exploded then, and then after that, lots of other very famous perfumers and houses have used ISOE Super in lots of concentration in perfumes, because it's a fantastic ingredient. There are others out there, or a fantastic material, should I say. There are other materials out there that are similar. I think Timber Silk does the same thing. I think there's another one called Georgie Wood that is very, very similar. But, and this is where it gets interesting, because obviously there's a lot of clones of eccentric molecules #1 out there, things like this, which is basically just ISOE Super. Now, this is fantastic. I use it for layering. I have worn it on occasion as its own perfume, but it's, you know, it is what it is. It's I find it very difficult to smell on myself, but it gets compliments and it's lovely, and it costs about £10 a bottle. But it's not a direct clone of Eccentric Molecules 01. That uses something called ISO Gamma, which is a different molecule, which isn't ISOE Super. Very, very related to it, but it is completely different. So what I'm trying to do is give a background in the nose behind the original Montabaco, because obviously Versatility is known for using these very clever aroma chemicals. And I think there's quite a lot, well, we know that ISOE Super is certainly listed in the original note breakdown of Montabaco. Now, Montabaco Verano is incredibly similar to Montabaco. I don't own Montabaco, I only own the Verano version of it, so I can't do a side-by-side. But I have smelt it many, many times, and it's a beautiful, beautiful perfume. So why did I go for the flanker? Well, if we have a look at the notes of the flanker, then you'll find out why. On the top, we have grapefruit. This is the key. And then in the mid, we have cashmere, and then in the base, you have suede, you have leather, you have woodsy notes, you have ambery notes, you have tobacco, you have ISOE Super. Now, the original one is a beautiful perfume. It's available, I think, in 3 strengths. Now, Ormonde Jayne are one of the only companies I know where you can buy the particular perfume you want, but with a different oil concentration. So you can have a stronger version or whatever, with minimal variance in smell. Apparently, I've not really explored it that much, but you can get a very strong version, or just the normal version, which in most cases is strong enough, to be honest. But apparently they don't lose much difference in smell. They just have a higher oil concentration, different sort of last for different lengths of time, that kind of thing, or different intensity. But it's a nice option and something really, really good. So when I had an opportunity to grab this, I did, because I think, for me, with the original, the suede-like dry down with the tobacco is where the magic is. I love this. I love this smell. This combination of the two is fantastic. But it's kind of, it's light and it's airy, but it has a heavier base. Now, what Montabaco Verano does is it introduces an incredibly crisp, slightly sour, realistic grapefruit note, which is not that dissimilar to the grapefruit note that's used in Bulgari's Tiger or Spirit of the King's Arrakis, which both smell very similar. And they both celebrate this sharp, tart grapefruit, which Montabaco Verano has. It has an incredibly fresh, crisp, airy, citrusy grapefruit opening, which is just a joy. I'm wearing it at the moment. I'm not going to spray anymore because it's everywhere. But you get this sharp, beautiful citrus. Now, it would be really unkind for me to say they've taken the original and shoehorned in the grapefruit, because in some respects that's exactly what they have done. But if you were to smell Verano before you were to smell the original, you would think, this is amazing, this grapefruit should always have been there. There's no way it shouldn't have been. You know, this beautiful little heavy bottle just delivers such a punchy grapefruit opening. It's amazing. And then after about 15 to 20 minutes, the grapefruit starts to subside and all the other notes start to appear. So then it becomes very, very similar to the original. So for example, if you had Verano, you won't need the original. If you had the original, you might not need Verano, unless you particularly want that grapefruit, that fresh, beautiful opening. But for me, on a personal level, and this is no criticism of either perfume because I think they're both amazing, I like the crispness, the freshness of that grapefruit in the opening just makes this, to me, a little bit more versatile, because that grapefruit is so fresh and invigorating. It works incredibly well in hot weather. It works really, really well on a warm day. And there's not many sort of perfumes where suede and tobacco are the dominant base notes that work well in the heat. But because of the fresh spritz that you get when you spray this, you can wear this in the heat. And conversely, you can also wear this in the cold. So I think for me, getting Montabaco Verano was a really good move because you have much more options available to you in wearability. So I can, you know, I've got a perfume that's equally at home on a hot day as a cool day, you know, winter, summer, spring, fall, or autumn if you're British. You can wear Montabaco Verano all year round. It's a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. What I do like about it is the airy nature of it. Now, because of the history of Montabaco, which goes to show and certainly made, I don't know if he was involved in Verano or if it was Linda herself that's made Verano. I'm not entirely sure, I can't confirm that. But there's certainly those aroma chemicals still in it, because when you spray this, after that sharp, intense grapefruit opening, everything starts to lift out. It's not a perfume that relies on projection to get the message across. It's just incredibly airy. So you have a wonderful sillage, and if you're familiar with any of the Eccentric Molecules collection, you will know that the airy nature of the perfume is critical. That's how they work, and that's what they do so well. Now, what you have here is a blend of a traditional perfume using these sort of space age materials. So you get, when you spray it on skin, hang on, let's put a little bit more on, just for this. I said I wasn't, but I'm gonna. So let's spray a little bit more on. You have quite, oh, it's beautiful. You have quite a dense liquid on your skin. So once that dries, if you put your nose to it, you can always smell it, but it's everywhere around you. Now, one of the problems I have with the Eccentric Molecules is, especially with number one, is I can't really smell it on me. Everyone else can smell it. But with this, because there's so many other traditional materials in here, as well as all the space age stuff, you've always got it on your skin. It's never a skin scent, it's always more than a skin scent, but it's incredibly airy. So you get the best of both worlds. It is a complemented fragrance. You smell very enchanting. It's completely unisex, and it just seems to go on forever and ever and ever. When I've worn this out, I've come back and it's still all around me, and you know, sort of 6-7 hours after applying it, I've had compliments on it when, you know, I've worn it in the day and we've had people around for dinner in the evening and I haven't reapplied a perfume and they said, oh, you smell nice, Matt. So, you know, the longevity is there. It's not a beast mode fragrance at all. It's nice and airy and light and enchanting. So it's a really, really good one. You could wear it to work, you could wear it out socially, you could wear it wherever you want. I personally, I'm going to sound like my mother here, I save it for best. So, you know, like your shoes. No, you can't wear them. You can't wear them out with your mates. You've got to save those shoes for best. This is a perfume that I'm saving for best. It makes me feel amazing. It's an extraordinarily beautiful perfume. It's just, oh, really, really exciting stuff to wear. And one, you know, I think I wear lots of lovely, lovely perfume, and I'm not, you know, sort of bragging or anything like that, but it's my passion. I have lots and lots of bottles. And I get used to wearing sort of very, very nice perfumes all the time. And sometimes I get a little bit complacent about that. But when I'm wearing Montabaco Verano, I get quite excited because I don't wear it very often and I don't want to spoil the magic, if you like. So it's never one that, it doesn't feature on my Instagram as a scent of the day very often. That's not because I don't love it, it's because I really, really love it. Completely the opposite. I am actually trying not to wear it too much because I just think it's such a magical journey. You have that real spirit of Latin America, not that I've been there, but the tobacco is lovely. It's airy, it's soft, it's not like a dense, heavy one, it's not overly sweet. You know, I've got quite a few tobacco fragrances that are really, really sweet. You know, this tobacco amber, tobacco vanilla kind of combination that I really, really like. Generally leads to quite a dense perfume, but this isn't. This is a soft, light, airy, freshy-ish because of that grapefruit that just kind of creeps through a little bit. The suede is divine. It's not an overly leathery one. It doesn't smell like a shoe or a settee or anything. It's a very sweet, light suede. There's lots of little citric notes in here that kind of just elevate it. I absolutely adore this. It's a pig to get hold of. If it is still going to be in a Harrods exclusive, it's going to be very difficult to sample. I fully appreciate that. It doesn't come up in Facebook groups very often because generally when people have got it, they're hanging on to it. So really, really good. If you are unfamiliar with any of Ormonde Jayne's fragrances, they do Explorer sets and stuff like that. And some really, really strong ones from the house. My particular favourites, again, as I mentioned earlier, Amber Royal. No Ub of Oud is lovely, and it's a perfect one for those of you that like oud but are a bit scared of it because it's not particularly oudy. It's spicy and exciting, effectively, losing my voice here. So please have a look at Ormonde Jayne. Really exciting house. Some of the you know, the perfumes are very expensive, but you know, some of the Ormonde Jayne Man, Amber Royal, they're all around the £100 mark, and they're pretty bloody good actually. So well worth exploring. Anyway, I'm doing it again. I'm really waffling on, so I do apologise. Lots of reviews coming. Please keep peeled, and we will get them up as soon as we can. Anyway, listen, thank you ever so much for your time. Sorry about the waffling, really. Cheers, thanks. See you on the next video, and bye.